Welcome to the starter guide for the Steel Fortress Abyss. We're going to start off with an extremely approachable team, and then we'll talk about some reasonable upgrades if you want to swap it to a speed team later down the line. Just like other guides on the channel, I'm going to be going through these units in order of speed tuning. So, moving first, we've got 2A Zinc, the Dark Living Armor, who has buff block on every single skill. The reason why that's so important is due in part to the passive for the boss of the Steel Fortress. Every time you hit the boss, he's going to try to apply a shield and a defense buff to himself, and it is nearly impossible to get through. There's a lot of other words going on here, but if you apply buff block consistently, you don't need to read them. The only other thing you really need to be aware of is that your monsters can get stunned occasionally, and for that reason, I'm recommending that you rune him on double will. Since he's moving first, a single set of will won't necessarily do anything, so you want to make sure that by the time it gets back to his turn, he still has another turn of immunity, so if buff block for some reason is not on him, and something's gone horribly wrong, Zinc can swoop in and apply it right then and there. So double will means that he still has 2 slots left on the rune hexagram. That could be a set of guard runes if you'd like. I have mine built on damage, so crit rate and crit damage is probably good to pursue, though you'll also want to be mindful of your defense and your accuracy. Accuracy being the most important. By the way, something that you'll want to be mindful of with Zinc is that he does get additional harmful effect increase on his skill 2 when you skill him up. Will it make or break the run? Not necessarily, but skilling him up does add some consistency. For what it's worth though, I do not have any skill ups on my skill 2 in this video, although my skill 3 is fully skilled up. So in the artifacts for him, if you wanted to try to find increased accuracy for his skill 1, 2, or 3, all are very helpful in this dungeon. Moving after Zinc, it is Ergar, the Dark Vampire Lord. Similarly, you should have him runed on double will. I have mine runed on Rage because, speaking plainly, it's the same Ergar that I'm using in the Punisher's Crypt Guide. So if you plan on using the Vampires Walking Dogs team, you could have him runed on Rage, although double will is admittedly the safest version. Ergar is here because he applies attack buff, and he also gains an additional turn whenever he uses it, so that he can chain directly into his skill 2, which is another opportunity to apply buff block, slow, heal block, etc. That's a lot of debuffs. It'd be pretty awesome if we had a unit that deals damage that increases according to debuffs. Stay tuned for that. In the artifacts, you may want to look for increased accuracy on skill 2. Lauren is next on the list, and she's here to set up defense break and reduce attack bars. It would be good to go for double will on Lauren as well, so that way if she misses defense break, she can still try for a second time and not get stunned in between. Although, in the footage that you're seeing play behind me, she is not on double will, because I need her on violent, for reasons that I'd rather keep private. Violent is a decent alternative. The only thing is that it takes the certainty of a second will set and turns it into a 22% chance. Now, if that's a risk you're willing to take, so be it. For the purposes of this video though, I'm recommending double will. You know how to rune Lauren by now. You'll want her to be fast enough to move right after Zinc. You'll want her to be having high accuracy so she lands the defense break and the attack bar reduction. And HP. Moving next on the team is your leader, Ken or Bernadotte, the Fire Shadow Claw. Even if you did end up applying the debuff to block beneficial effects, there are a couple hits where the boss could have gotten his shield and defense up, and that means you need to strip it. Sometimes Lauren's gonna miss her skill 2. That means that Bernadotte can be here to pick up the slack. He has strip on skill 3 and skill 2, and if you're using the skill 3 version, he could even brand. Feel like I'm saying it a lot, but you can look for additional accuracy in the substats of your artifact to just make sure that this is going A-okay. You can rune Bernadotte on damage. I've got mine on Fatal. You can put yours on Fatal or Rage, however you feel like runing it. But because he can contribute to damage so well, it'd be a shame not to put him on a damage build. It should be noted that he does need crit rate in order to get the additional turn on his skill 3, but he's got a crit rate lead, so that means that the burden on crit rate is a lot less than it would be in other locations, especially since the Steel Fortress boss is of opposite attribute, leaving you to focus on crit damage instead of crit rate. Moving last on the team is Crow, or your damage dealer of choice. Crow has 2 skills that scale with the number of debuffs applied on the target, which is just perfect, because by this point in the turn order, the boss is gonna have a ton of debuffs on him. Rage is definitely the way to go for your damage dealer, but a set of will runes is also highly recommended, because it would be a dang shame if your damage dealer got stunned. I really like this team's resilience, and it can be easily adapted into a speed team over time by increasing the damage on Ken and Zinc and maybe swapping around a couple units. If you're looking for something really fast, you can include the second awakened Gina, the Dark Mystic Witch. If you build her on damage and have her move right after Zinc, you can clear out the waves leading to the boss really quickly. Also, Brandia, the Fire Polar Queen, is excellent here. So if you happen to have one, you can throw her in, but if not, don't worry, Crow is awesome. So there you go, that's a starter team for the Steel Fortress Abyss Hard. Let me know in a comment what you're using to farm this dungeon, and if you have any tips to share to other people who are looking to clear it, be sure to leave them in the comments. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.